Did you know that BDSM and kink are healthy outlets for aggression, imagination, and attention? Hi, and welcome to The Partition, home of kinky wellness. My name is Dana Slosser, and I'm a sexual wellness coach that dives deep into all things kinky. I'm here to show how BDSM and kink deserves a rightful spot within the sexual wellness conversation. So, let's talk about it. Hey, so over the weekend, I had a chance to watch What is Erotic Intelligence by Esther Perel. This is about a half an hour talk that she did at the Mindvalley Talks in 2017, but the message she was spreading is still so relevant today. And why I feel this is relevant to BDSM and kink is because you need to have a certain level of erotic intelligence to be a good partner. It goes in line with being able to pick up on nonverbal cues efficiently and emotional intelligence and these other types of interpersonal communication aspects that you need to be able to better communicate with your partner. And with the title of What is Erotic Intelligence, of course, I had to watch it. Now, I don't know a lot about Esther's work, so this was the first video that I watched of hers. But she tends to come up in a lot of my research as a recommendation. So from the short research that I did, I found that Esther is a world-renowned psychologist, a New York Times bestseller author, and one of her viewpoints that make her really well known is one of her opinions on how we expect much more from our marriages and long-term relationships than we ever used to, because for centuries, marriage was framed within a duty rather than love. Another fun fact is her Instagram bio quote right now says, "The quality of our relationships determines the quality of our lives." I have heard that saying before. Now, if that's her quote, then now I know where it comes from. So I do look forward to learning from her in the future because I really did enjoy the Mindvalley talks that we're about to go into. So let's dive into it. Right off the bat, Esther starts with a line that says, "Today in the West, most of us are going to have 2 or 3 marriages or committed relationships. And some of us are going to do it with the same person." Now, originally I had to stop and think about it for a second, so I'll say it again, just in case, because I did stop it and re-go back. She said, "Today in the West, most of us are going to have 2 or 3 marriages or committed relationships, and some of us are going to do it with the same person." I think that's a powerful statement. She went into how the power of recommitting within a relationship is very powerful, and I couldn't agree more. And I also feel like this relates to BDSM partnerships because when you make a choice to do a scene with your partner, I believe that you are taking responsibility of committing to that person entirely for that time frame. Of course, you can always withdraw your consent if something happens, but the intention is still there to participate in something willingly. And I also believe that BDSM is still a type of relationship. It might not be the same as what most people think of in a traditional relationship, but BDSM relationship is still a type of relationship nonetheless. And committing in a BDSM partnership is just as powerful as people making a commitment to each other who aren't in BDSM and kink. In fact, in some instances, I would argue that BDSM partnerships can be more powerful than relationships that don't have any BDSM and kink in them. But Esther talks about how she views herself more as someone who connects her clients to their aliveness, which is something that I think that I do as well. Because I agree with statements like when someone passes away, you'll be able to write on their tombstone, "dead but not used." Because I feel that so many people nowadays are just drifting in their life with no real meaning or purpose. It's like the masses are all wandering around waiting for someone to come down and tell them what to do or guide them into something, instead of taking their lives into their own hands and taking at least some sort of accountability. Because not as much as there's many things going on in the world, some of which are out of our control, there's a lot of problems that we have that are within our control. But anyways, I do agree that our aliveness goes along with so many things that we actually do need. We need to feel alive. We need aliveness. I feel in the West that we've fallen into a trap where we think that the only time we can feel alive is if we're on vacation or if some sort of crazy extreme event happens. But I believe we can create the feeling of aliveness right in our own bedroom, just with some imagination and some props. And you know what? You don't even need the props. You just need your imagination. And it's within the aliveness that we can create on a day-to-day basis, or even a need-to-need basis, that we can help build our purpose, creativity, playfulness, because aliveness goes with meaning, and without meaning, we have no purpose. Aliveness is in our nature. It's in the world around us. The world is a big place, and we need to remember that it's a living thing. Aliveness is what connects us to ourselves, to our partners, to the family, to the planet, to everything that's around us. If we're not using or experiencing aliveness, then we might as well be dead. And that's the truth. Well, at least that's what I believe. And, if you're just going through the loop, then what is the point of it? And like Esther said, the truth is not always easy. Often the truth lies beyond and past our comfort zone. In essence, aliveness is experiencing experiences, no? I don't even know if that's a sentence, but yeah, aliveness is experiencing experiences. And that's what I think BDSM and kink can give, which is experiencing experiences. And that requires your imagination. I don't really understand how society has gotten to the point where it's built so strongly on adults not using their imagination when it's so clearly laid out on how important imagination actually is to so many avenues of our life. Like in the talk, Esther is interviewing a couple that's having intimacy issue, and she describes their sex life as massively outcome-driven, unimaginative, and too fast. But honestly, don't you think that description could describe thousands of couples? Like millions of couples? Like so many couples? I believe too many couples are having massively outcome-driven, unimaginative, and too fast sex right now. We need to slow these experiences down. If you're looking to build up desire and create the feeling of wanting or longing or creating that energy between you and your partner, you need to slow down. And as Esther says, sex isn't just something that we want to do. Sex is a place we go. So an easy way to slow down, as Esther mentions in the video, but I also agree, is to touch more and to touch longer. Ask yourself, what parts are you actually connecting with your partner? Please don't tell me it's only your lips and genitalia, because if it is, then you're missing so much of the fun. Think about your cheeks, hands, thighs, back, other parts of your body. Like every inch of you needs attention. Just remember that. Every inch of you needs attention, not just specific areas. And, as you get older, you can't really rely on your genitalia because that's just the reality of getting older. Newsflash, guys. But, things that you can rely on is your voice, your skin, your hair, your smell. You have so many ways of connecting to your partner. So just don't focus on one area because that's going to get boring. You're going to get bored of that. There's only so much of one area you can possibly take. So, Esther reminds us to view eroticism as more of a life force and not just this narrow definition of sex. But basically, how do you reimagine yourself and the means to be more alive? Eroticism can be used to reinvent yourself, to bring meaning back into your life, to bring aliveness back into your life. And that's what BDSM and kink are designed to do. It's to make you feel something, to connect you to something you want to feel, which in turn is seeking out an experience or being alive. And of course, I know that you can reinvent yourself through sex. And sex does have the power to heal when used correctly. But we can't do it in this medical way. I know in my Orgasm Inc. podcast, we talked briefly on how we can't medicalize desire in sex. Well, Esther goes on to this point to say that we live in a performance-driven, industrialized place, and how this world seems to want to quantify sex by so many things. Like how many orgasms did you have? How long was it? How hard was it? How many pills? Did they last long enough? Did they come quick enough? Rather than understand that desire is a beautiful interlude that is massively unproductive. And that desire is a state of being. Plus, I don't think sex and desire was ever supposed to be quantified. It just seems so unnatural to do that. Desire is an individual thing. You just can't do that. And by clumping us all together, these terms that we keep giving ourselves, we just keep getting separate and separate and separate, and we don't talk to each other. We immediately hear these terms of like, what's your insert here? And then someone gives you an answer. And then that's it. They just take you as is. That's how they're going to judge you. And it's not supposed to be like that. Another point that she made that I really liked was her viewpoint on relationship accountability. Now, I actually was talking about this with Kat the other day and how I believe that ghosting is really just fucking up our brains. So for those of you who don't know what ghosting is, or, maybe everyone knows what that is now, but it means when you stop talking to someone completely with no explanation, you just simply block and delete. But just because ghosting is normal, I don't believe it should be. I believe ghosting people reinstills a message that we can avoid confrontation and conflict. And I know that if you do a pattern enough times, it becomes a habit. And you do a habit enough times, it becomes your personality. Now, I've been there. I've ghosted people. I'm not a saint. I've done it in the past. But now I see the negative impact that ghosting has on the person who's actually doing the ghosting. And really, it's the easiest form just to write somebody a message. It's not even like you have to let people down or end the relationship in person anymore. You don't even have to do it over the phone. You just have to type into your phone and hit send. And that's it. But this constant ability to meet, greet, delete, meet, greet, delete, meet, greet, delete. It's hurting people's ability to handle confrontation and give negative news. There's going to be moments in our life where we're telling someone something that's unpleasant or uncomfortable for us, and you still need to learn or be in situations to say those things, to build that skill, because it might be, weird now, but if you keep doing that over time, it won't be so weird. And you're not going to be able to handle confrontation in places like your work or school or any extracurricular activity or whatever you're doing. And to be clear, I'm not talking about you deleting someone who treats you poorly or infringes on your boundaries or makes you feel constantly drained. Like, there are reasons why you can ghost people. But I'm talking about the serial daters that go out there, go on a date, come back, block, delete, then go on another date, come back, block, delete. Like, no accountability, no nothing, just like, wasn't feeling it, ghost, boom. I don't want this to feel like an attack, but it's clear that it's becoming more and more acceptable to not being upfront and honest. And even if you have to send a message and then block and delete, that's still better than not sending the message at all. Just send the message. It really is one of those things that just grinds my gears. But overall, I thought it was a great speech, and I learned a lot from her perspectives and new perspectives. And even though the video was filmed in 2017, I swear it could have been filmed yesterday. That's how equally relevant that her words are back then is today. For Esther's Mindvalley Talk, I'll leave the link in the YouTube video description below. Highly encourage it to watch it. I'd love to have more discussions about her and of her work. So please give it a watch and let me know what you think. But I don't know. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe ghosting isn't that bad for you. Maybe that's, okay. But what are your thoughts? Are there rules that I don't know about when it comes to ghosting? Do you think it's okay to ghost? Let me know in the comments. Well, that's it for me. If you're new here or to the BDSM scene, please check out my e-learning video at thepartition.life. Again, that's www.thepartition.life, where I make it easy to learn the basics. Thank you for listening. Tune in next time, and as always, stay kinky.